New York City Mayor Eric Adams, he is voicing his support for migrant deportations. He is saying to the Trump administration, yeah, bring them in. Bring them in. Let's get these criminals out of here. He's got a little background in law enforcement, and he has been very vocal about bucking the trend of sanctuary city. Just bring as many in as you can, and it should all work out. And how's that working out for him? Well, he's been indicted, and they basically just tried to run him out of town. But he's fighting back. Let's get into it. Here we go.
The mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, is saying that he is going to work with border czar Tom Homan and President Donald Trump when it comes to deporting illegal migrant criminals, actually daring those on the left to go ahead and try to cancel him.
Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the border czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Google what they said about those who commit crimes in our city. They said those who commit crimes need to get out right away. In the era of cancel culture, no one's afraid to be honest about the truth. Well, cancel me, because I'm going to protect the people of the city.
So Mayor Eric Adams spitting some truth about, hey, let's get these folks out of here. Now, one of the big contentions I have is that everywhere you see, there are indications that it's, criminals that they're going after. That the deportations are going to start and focus on criminals. But the left, I don't care where you sit on the left, all of the left-leaning mainstream media, all of mainstream media is just deportations. Well, is there anything really wrong about deporting criminals, those with convictions, those with felony records, those who don't qualify and have convictions, those who don't qualify for asylum, number one, and number two, shouldn't be here in the first place? Is there anything wrong with going after those folks? No, I don't think so. Neither is Eric Adams. Neither do most reasonable people. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is a talking point of, we might separate some families. All right. Yeah, that's probably going to happen. You probably got some criminals that, believe it or not, have fathered children, and they're going to be separated from those kids. Maybe you deport the whole family. I don't know. You know what? You're going to have some collateral damage. But this isn't because of policy that Trump brought to the table. He had record low incoming illegal, entry across the southern border, across any of the borders, right? New York City Mayor Eric Adams, let's get my little pointy thing going here. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he is open to deporting migrants who have been charged with crimes ahead of a meeting with President-elect Donald Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan. I mean, we're being told that it's like around 1 million people, maybe 1.2 million, somewhere in that range. You either got criminal charges here in the U.S. or criminal charges back at home, some kind of criminal history. I mean, it's a lot of folks. And what do you think? There's going to be a pretty good size emphasis on, Tren de Aragua. Are they going to go after those boys and girls? Yeah, they are. That should be interesting, right? Speaking to reporters on Tuesday, Adams said that he is going to request a meeting with Homan to talk about the incoming Trump administration's plans for dealing with the influx of immigrants that have overwhelmed the city's emergency shelter system. He said he doesn't plan to fight Trump's pledges to deport criminals illegally living in America. Well, he's one of the few Democrat-run cities that hasn't, done this deal like Gruesome Newsom. We won't be working with them. We won't be working with ICE. I will not allow our law enforcement to work with ICE. You know what? You're on an island there, buddy. You're on an island there from the standpoint of the public perception is that you are protecting criminals. That's what you're doing. I don't think they've worked out yet that the virtue signaling is over. It's game over. Because if you look at the hardcore reality right now, Trump isn't even in office. None of this, but it's been go time since the minute he won the election. And look at everything that's happened. I mean, while Biden's off literally in Africa doing God knows what, other than stumbling around, being led around by some African leader, You seen that clip? It's totally embarrassing. Meanwhile, Eric Adams is saying, I would love to sit down with the border czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens. Period. Mic drop. That's kind of it, right? Hey, what are we going to do here? What's the game plan? I'm going to be working with this administration. Anybody that doesn't line up to work with the administration, to me, is trying to virtue signal an old party line that is way outdated, which is, they're just all, families trying to get into the U.S., that they just want a better life. Yeah, but there's a way that we do that. And under the Biden administration for the last 4 years, we haven't been doing it that way. The parole method has just been absolutely abused. Got rid of that remain in Mexico. And right now, Mexico is doing work. They are turning away thousands from getting to the southern border, our southern border, their northern border, because Trump said, hey, how about a little tariff action on you if you don't help us out? How about Canada's Justin Trudeau just absolutely bending the knee? Mr. Trump, how can we help you? Right? President Trump, what are we going to do about this little tariff thing? It would really crush us if you did that. Trump pops off with, well, how about we make you the 51st state of the United States? You imagine that running through Trudeau's head. Is he serious? Is this guy serious? No, he's not serious, but it's funny to talk about, right? Adams says that he supports the deportation of migrants accused of crimes, an apparent shift in his position that deportations should be conducted only after a criminal suspect is convicted of a crime or serves a jail sentence. How about if they're just not supposed to be here? What about that? How about that? Yeah. My position is people who commit crimes in our city, you have abdicated your right to be in our city, and I'm open to figure out the best way to address that. Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people have been a harm to our country. Hey, you got, a number of young ladies that have been murdered after being viciously assaulted. And those news stories are major news stories. It's interesting to watch mainstream media because mainstream media, their numbers are absolutely tanking right now. And a lot of that has to do with people like me that are creating channels, that are creating other avenues for you to get your information from. So you're watching this video right now, right? Maybe you used to, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, you'd be watching Channel 4. You'd be watching Channel 5. You'd be watching Channel 7. Those were the main channels when I was a kid. And then we added 13, right? We added, which became Fox. You used to watch mainstream media, and now you've got so many other things to watch that you're not tuning in to mainstream media because you recognize they're just giving me a bunch of nonsense. Homan has said that the Trump administration will seek to withhold federal funding from sanctuary cities such as New York, and has warned that local leaders won't be able to stop the feds from deporting migrant criminals. California right now, Gruesome Newsom is requesting $25 million, I think it is, from the state legislature to basically start lawsuits against Trump for federal funding for emergencies and, just a bunch in deportation. He's going to fight deportation, just a bunch of virtue signaling that will get him absolutely nowhere. Because all these governors, they have to ask the feds for big ticket money when push comes to shove. And Trump's been known to ignore those who basically go against him. He's like, I'm sure you can work out that whole wildfire thing on your own. Basically just go F yourself. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's kind of what he does. If we can't get assistance from New York City, we may be able to double the number of agents we send to New York City, Homan told Fox recently, because we're going to do the job with you or without you. So Eric Adams is hearing that and he's like, hey, they're coming to town. Let's party. Adams said most migrants come to the country looking for work and don't break the law, but acknowledged that the American people have communicated to us loud and clearly in the November 5th election. All right, well, let's talk about that for just 1 second. And we'll go back and finish out. But here's the deal. Most that have come into the country don't commit crimes. They are hell-bent on having as many babies as they can, raising kids, all that good stuff. But if you bring millions and millions of people into the country, especially from countries where they've had just social unrest and just social deterioration, like emptying out their prisons, then you're going to be bringing in some bad folks. And those are the bad folks, Tren de Aragua, that we've talked about here many, many, many times. All the news stories we've talked about here, Aurora, Colorado, political leadership and mayors in Aurora, Colorado saying, there's nothing to see here. It's a figment of your imagination. No, it's not. It's happening in real time. Yeah, the murder and rape of the young ladies, that's happening in real time. But hey, let's ignore that because that is not a good talking point. We have a broken system that they want to fix. We need to fix our immigration system, he said. We need to secure our border, and we need to make sure that whomever we parole into this country is going to have an opportunity to work in this country. Well, not necessarily that they need to have an opportunity to work, but we need to vet them first, that they don't have a criminal background, that they should be here in the first place. That's the first thing we got to do, right? New York City has had an influx of more than 200,000 asylum seekers. 200. And a historic surge of immigration along the U.S.-Mexico border over the past 2 years. More than 56,000 migrants currently under the city's care. Adams said Tuesday that the city has spent more than $6.4 billion on housing, food, medical, other necessities for more than 200,000 migrants. Meanwhile, immigration advocates and some lawmakers are calling for $165 million in new funding for expanded legal services for migrants who face possible deportation by the Trump administration. This is the mess, right? This is the mess. This is the absolute mess that residents in Chicago are literally, their heads are just popping off. And I don't blame them. Because what you've got in Chicago, you've got a lot of folks living at or near or under the poverty line. And they are watching all of these illegals come into the country and get priority before them. Or they're fighting for resources head to head with these folks. When in fact, why aren't we taking care of our own people? Why aren't the residents of Chicago getting that priority? They've been there much longer, right? That's their city. And yet you got all these illegals coming in. Here's billions of dollars. That's good. And that's why I think, you've got so much pushback on Let's Go Brandon Johnson right now from the standpoint of his leadership in Chicago. People are calling him America's worst mayor. I don't know. That's a tight race with Tahoe Tiff, Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the dictator of Dalton. If you haven't been following that party, that line, she just lost her ability to get re-upped for the Thornton Township supervisor role. She didn't get did a live stream on that. She didn't get her paperwork together to basically be on the ballot. And so just one dude, Napoleon Harris, former NFL player, he basically just ran right over the top of her and had a quick caucus meeting in Township of Thornton, and he's on the ballot and she's not. Now, she can get reelected with a little vote in, but that's never going to happen. So you've got some real pushback happening in real time to these mayors that aren't prioritizing, local residents. The TIF issue is she just basically spent a lot of money she probably shouldn't have, whether it's illegal or not, or whether it's unethical versus illegal. We'll find out. But Let's Go Brandon Johnson, he threw out, hey, I'm going to tax you $300 million. And citizens of Chicago said, hey, no, you're not. And in a vote of 52 or 56 or something like that, the city council in Chicago basically said, no, you're not. Let's figure out another pathway moving forward where we can make this happen without having to charge, taxes just out the backside for residents that are pissed off that you spent $573 million on the illegals in the first place over the last couple of years. Yeah. So you got some real pushback going on right now. And, this New York City, this is an interesting one because Mayor Adams is basically pushing back. He's saying, hey, go ahead and cancel me. And it's kind of one of those, it's like a virtue signal from the right? It's like, hey, go ahead and cancel me. Let's see what happens. Let's play ball. But he really can't lose from the standpoint of, hey, if you focus on criminals that have come into the country and deporting them, that's a tough argument, right? No, we can't deport criminals. That's not nice. Yeah, that's kind of what feels like Democrat, mayors and governors are doing across the United States. Hey, let's not deport any criminals. Let's just keep them here. This is going to be great. Yeah. All right. Well, we know that's not to be true, right? That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.